long will you play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Don't be so modest.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that question has indeed been answered, because as that made the media rounds not too very long ago, that was the real question. Are we going to continue seeing her carry on as Captain Marvel in the MCU? Obviously, after the disastrous dumpster fire that was The Marvels at the box office, being the lowest movie ever in the history of box office numbers for the MCU, barely breaking $200 million globally while having a $270 million budget. Would it surprise anybody that Kevin Feige and everybody else over there at Disney Marvel is completely and totally done with her? Well, after the major announcement yesterday, boys and girls over there at Marvel announcing all of the cast for Doomsday, our dear sweet next Avengers movie, someone was peculiarly absent over there. Actually, several someones, and it could bode no good out there for the future of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, boys and girls. So, hey, this is Jesse with The Common Nerd. I bring you pop culture and all things dirty through a common sense lens. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is a glaringly obvious either accidental omission or very much intentional for leaving absent the character that is supposedly the most powerful person in the MCU. Up until, of course, Sentry shows up over there in Thunderbolts. But needless to say, as you can see over here from the headline over at thatparkplace.com, Brie Larson not announced for Avengers Doomsday as MCU snubs all three of the Marvels in massive cast announcement. And that is absolutely insane. Boys and girls, they are throwing everything and including the kitchen sink at these next Avengers movies. I mean, we've got the X-Men from the Fox movies returning. We've got Gambit, who only appeared in Deadpool and Wolverine. We've got him coming back as well. We've got all of these other, like, essentially Z-list characters out there. But for some reason, Brie Larson and the rest of her Marvel's crew is somehow peculiarly absent. What's behind this snub? What's going on? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to check out this article. We're going to get into all the juicy details and see exactly what is going on. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 1,700. We're on our way to 1,800, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does it surprise you at all that Disney Marvel is snubbing her for this movie? Do you think they're going to just save her for the actual Secret Wars movie where they can eliminate her outright? Or do you think Brie Larson will continue on as Captain Marvel going forward in Disney's MCU? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Montanero. Marvel's largest live event on X, an hours-long slog of directors' chairs reveals. Finally wrapped with some legacy crowd pleasers like Robert Downey Jr. and returning X-Men icons. But buried under the fanfare is a glaring omission that speaks volumes. Brie Larson and her Marvel's co-stars were nowhere to be found in the Avengers Doomsday cast. Dun dun dun. Oh, poor Brie Larson. How weird is that? It's almost like even back then when she was asked the question whether anybody wants her to return or not, the answer even she knew in her own mind was an obvious no. And then after the Marvels literally cost Disney hundreds of millions of dollars, yeah, I think it might kind of makes it very obvious that nobody wants her back. Not one chair for Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, Tiana Paris, Monica Rambeau, or Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel. Which, to premise this whole thing real quick, I really like. I've never heard anything bad about Monica Rambeau. Brie Larson's made some dumb comments in the past, but Iman Vellani, like, girl is a masterclass in how to handle the Hollywood reporters, because like they tried to ask her those questions about like toxic fans or something like that. Girl just straight up sidestepped it like a boss, and I was like, mad respect. She was not going to get baited into that kind of nonsense, whether or not that's because somebody advised her to not interact in that kind of stuff, or she's just seen it what's happened in the past, or she legitimately does believe it does no good to bash your own customer. Either way, she's much smarter than a lot of people that have been involved in Disney Marvel over the last few years, boys and girls. Instead, Marvel took the time to highlight characters like Red Guardian, Ghost, and Mapako, side characters who barely register with general audiences, yet apparently earned their place in Marvel's future over the trio that headlined the Marvels. The silence is deafening. It's all crickets. The absence of Larson and her co-stars didn't go unnoticed. While some fans speculate that more names might be added in the future announcements, many others took it as a sign Marvel quietly is abandoning ship. After all, the Marvels wasn't just a minor underperformer. It was a box office disaster, with a reported production budget of $270 million. And of course, we know that the reported budgets are always way lower than what the actual budgets are. Millions more in marketing, the film barely scraped together $206 million globally. I mean, they literally stopped reporting the numbers at like 198, 199, like didn't even bother doing any of that stuff until they just completely pulled it out of theaters, and then they added in. I mean, it was so embarrassing how bad the numbers were, just week over week, day after day. It was just a horrible, horrible situation. Just $84.5 million domestically, which is where you make most of your profit, and $121.6 million internationally. That is abysmal, because normally the international markets are way higher than domestic, and given it is, but it's not even double the domestic, and that's the entire globe. That just shows you how damaged the Marvel brand is, not only in the United States, but globally overall. That puts it among the worst performing MCU films ever made, a stain on the studio's once unbreakable record. Yep, I mean, remember when back in the day where like a Marvel movie was pretty much guaranteed to be a $1 billion success, especially if it was an Avengers movie or something like that? Yeah, don't really see that very much anymore. When was the last time one hit $1 billion? I don't even remember. Did Black Panther Wakanda Forever cross $1 billion? I don't think it did. I think it only hit like $800 or $900 million. Like, yeah, it is not good. The state of Disney Marvel is extremely bad, and it's because they decided to concentrate on identity politics with a bunch of wham-empowered, key-to-everything nonsense, insufferable characters that nobody could stand. And guess what? Nobody trusts you anymore. That's why your opening weekends are so garbage. That's why Captain Black America completely and totally failed as well. These characters, when they did these versions in the comic books, like, right, the Brie Larson version of Captain Marvel that she plays, right, was insufferable in the comics. The fans couldn't stand her, and it didn't last, and eventually they had to reboot it. Why they continue trying things that failed in the comics that in the live action stuff, I don't get, except for the fact that they were all about the exact same agenda that did it to the comics that also did it to the movies as well. Color us shocked there. The spirit of the age infects absolutely every aspect of our culture. It's not just the numbers, it's the trajectory. The Marvels suffered one of the steepest second weekend drops in franchise history, signaling disinterest and negative word of mouth. The film's tone, pacing, and incoherent plot were widely criticized. Black girl magic! Okay, what? And its rushed production timeline became an open secret. Even Marvel's loyalists admitted the film felt like a product of an obligation rather than an inspiration. Color us shocked there. We're just cranking one out because we promised everybody Brie Larson would get a sequel after her first movie made $1 billion because it happened to be planted between two of the biggest events ever inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they told everybody, you gotta go see it, even though I went and saw it, and that movie literally did not matter at all to either one of those Avengers movies. So yeah, good job, you tricked us. Guess what? It'll never work again. Then there's the Brie Larson factor. Since her debut in Captain Marvel, Larson has been one of the most polarizing figures in the history of the MCU. Yeah. Boy, I wish Disney misses the fact that when Brie Larson was their only problem. Weird. Her press appearances were often marked by condensations and divisive remarks. She infamously stated she was tired of seeing white men reviewing her films. Well, who else is going to review them? It's a comic book movie. Arguing that the industry needed more diverse voices. While some saw this as a push for inclusivity, many longtime fans saw it as an unprovoked attack on the franchise's core audience. Yeah, the white males that also make up the majority of the country that you currently live in, Brie Larson. Color us shocked there that they're going to be the majority of a fan base in a country that, although is getting much more demographically diverse, is still the majority white. I know, strange concept. Weird. Larson's comments didn't stop there. Her activism-heavy approach to Hollywood has constantly bled into her public persona, often coming off as lecturing rather than leading. Even her Marvel co-stars appeared visibly uncomfortable during press junkets, with multiple viral compilations showing awkward interactions between Larson, Chris Hemsworth, and Don Cheadle. Instead of rallying the fan base, Larson fractured it. Rather than embracing the role as a beloved hero, she seemed more focused on using the platform for cultural messages many fans didn't sign up for when buying tickets to superhero films. The rift has never healed, and Larson has become something of a poster child of what many online critics call the MCU. That's exactly what she is. She is literally the embodiment of the MCU. Because I saw that movie, right? I saw that movie, okay? She was literally nothing more than a girl boss. She was an absolute twat in the very beginning of the movie. I mean, she literally beat up a guy, took his motorcycle and his clothes for literally like winking at her and like giving him a compliment or something like that. I mean, it was literally absolutely insane. She was insufferable. The character itself was insufferable right from the very beginning. And then she was already the most powerful thing ever. And then she becomes more powerful in the movie by discovering her memories. Not any kind of major challenge, not any major conflict. She never has any part of the hero's journey. She never struggles or anything like that. She's just the bestest everything right from the get-go. And don't get me started on the cat that scratched his eye. But I mean, seriously, that movie was an abomination. It was literally the Mary Sue of almost all the Mary Sues we've ever seen in the history of cinema. It was an abomination. And that's why everybody despises that movie. That's why everybody despises the character of Captain Marvel. Marvel for a time doubled down. They pushed Captain Marvel as a key piece of the Avengers' future, perhaps emboldened by the strong box office performance of Captain Marvel. However, many attribute that box office to the movie being hyped in the post-credit scene of Avengers Infinity War following the major cliffhanger ending, and like I said, because of all of the marketing as well. Still, Captain Marvel was billed as the most powerful hero in the MCU. She was meant to be the new Tony Stark and lead the team into the future. But audiences never connected with her the same way. Merchandise didn't sell, fan enthusiasm flatlined, and now it seems Marvel may finally be acknowledging that reality and leaving Brie Larson out of Avengers Doomsday. A very wise decision. Like literally, if people see her in that movie, their eyes are just going to instantly roll and go, oh God, really? Not again? Not again? Yeah. Just like we saw that all of that her talking down to the rest of the Avengers in like literally the movies and stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff was insufferable as well. And then the haircut. Holy cow. I get it was pulled out of the comics, but it didn't work very well in the comics either. The latest rollout didn't just exclude Larson. It actively prioritized lesser-known characters over her. Red Guardian, Ghost, even M'Baka, a side player from Black Panther, made the cut. Meanwhile, Carol Danvers, who was once teased as the savior of the MCU's next phase, didn't even get a seat. That's not coincidence. That's a signal. And it absolutely is. They're done with her nonsense. She costs too much. She just gives them a bunch of bad press. And guess what? They've been dealing with enough of that for a long time. Disney has enough headaches without having to deal with all of the eye rolls that's going to happen when Brie Larson shows up as Captain Marvel again. To be fair, Marvel hasn't made any official statements about Larson's future. They never actually do. How about all of the Star Wars projects that we know have been canceled, but they never officially announced it outside of the Acolyte Season 2, which that was great. They're like, yeah, that one's not happening. This could all be a temporary shift, or perhaps they're simply saving her for Secret Wars, which would be a good excuse to take her out of the equation, now wouldn't it? But for now, Larson's critics are breathing a long overdue sigh of relief. Not really. Like, she looks great on thumbnails. She'll be on this thumbnail. Like, we get to make videos about her, roasting her all the time. Everybody loves to hear about it. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's really a sigh of relief for all of us critics out there. Like, it's like one of those, like, hashtag renew the Acolyte, man. You have any idea what kind of viewership we were getting off of those videos? Like, come on, man. Bring her back. Bring her back. For years, and plus, like I said, she's not bad to look at either. Especially in the right dress, which you'll see on the thumbnail. For years, they've argued that her casting, tone, and approach were out of sync with what fans wanted. You think? And for the first time, it looks like Marvel may agree. There's a lesson here about hubris, about listening to the audience. I know, strange concept. Listen to your customers, the people that pay your bills. About knowing when a course correction is needed. Marvel built its empire by understanding its fans and delivering characters they could rally behind. With Brie Larson and the Marvels, that connection was never there. And if this event is any indication, Marvel might be ready to move on. Whether they officially announce a recast, quietly retire the character, or simply minimize her presence going forward, the writing is on the wall. That's right, boys and girls. Captain Marvel, aka Brie Larson, is indeed done. Even Marvel doesn't want her to come back and play the role again. None of the fans liked it. None of the fans ever wanted it. This is not a version of Captain Marvel that anybody appreciates, not to mention all of the other crazy screw-ups they did. I don't know, like changing Marvel just a little bit inside the movie and all that kind of stuff. I mean, check out Charlie from Emergency Awesome. It was just a minor change after all. It's just a little bit of a change to the character on that one. But needless to say, boys and girls, this is what happens when not only do you financially fail miserably at the box office, which is exactly what the Marvels did, right? The worst box office in the history of the MCU, bar none. It's not even close. She's had all of this backlash with fans. Her character, and this isn't on Brie Larson. Brie Larson knows that people hate her and despise her character, and so of course she's going to take that in a negative light. But she said a bunch of activist nonsense comments, bashing white men, right? Which is the core audience for Marvel and for actually all of pretty much entertainment in the country, all of the major entertainment out there. I know, strange concept to think about. But her character was insufferable. Her character was an absolute Mary Sue. She was the bestest, strongest thing ever that had ever come before anything ever else. And literally, people can't stand characters like that. People need characters that they can relate to, right? Ones that go through struggles, ones that have to fight back against adversity, ones that have to pick themselves up after getting knocked down and carry forward and push on and eventually succeed and win. We never got any of that with Captain Marvel. None of it. I don't have a problem with good, strong female characters. We absolutely love them. I mean, there's so many great ones out there. Pan Am from Cyberpunk, Wonder Woman. I mean, we've got all, Storm. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Storm from the X-Men? You can make a good, strong, female, competent female character that is also a leader. But you have to watch them struggle. You have to watch them suffer. You have to see them overcome adversity. We saw Storm with her claustrophobia and how she had to try to get over that to save her friends in several different situations. We never saw any of that with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. She was nothing more than a Mary Sue that was the bestest thing ever, and at the end of the movie, she became even more of the bestest thing ever. People can't stand it, and it looks like Marvel has finally seen the writing on the wall, and it's bye-bye Captain Marvel from the MCU. Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. You won't be missed. But my thumbnails will miss you.